Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, all these, they are just from like the last 3,000 years. It's yesterday morning in terms of human history. We are talking about people who lived 50,000 years before the Bible, before Jesus, before Moses. You know, if there is a nuclear war and human civilization is destroyed, the baboons won't survive that. They are too much like us, they are too fragile, but the rats will survive. So, you know, they'll have some difficult years, the rats, but then they emerge from their holes and you have all these leftovers from the human world. So they have all these food left over from humans and they can eat that. And then there are no humans around and no big animals because they are all dead. And the rats begin to develop and to evolve. And eventually you have these big, super intelligent rats that rule the planet. And they could look back at us the same way that we look at the dinosaurs. So maybe for the rats, we will be like the asteroid. That you will have these rat scientists in like millions of years from now explaining to rat kids that once we were just these small animals living in holes in the ground, but luckily for us, these stupid apes, they destroyed everything in the nuclear war. And this was very good because this gave the chance to the rats to develop and take over the world. For most of human history, you had these dictators and kings and priests who wanted to spy on everybody, but they couldn't. Now with the new technology, it is becoming possible to monitor everybody all the time. You know, the inspiration for me initially came from Jared Diamond, that I read Guns, Germs and Steel. And this kind of, before that I was just a medievalist. I was a historian specializing in medieval history. And I read Guns, Germs and Steel, and it's a wonderful book. And besides all the knowledge that it gave me, it also gave me the inspiration, the idea, hey, you can write books like that. You can try and encompass tens of thousands of years of human history, the big picture in one book. So this was one big inspiration. Another big inspiration was Franz de Waal. He's a primatologist. He studies chimpanzees and gorillas and so forth. And reading him made me realize that humans are animals, which is, you know, on the one hand, the simplest idea that, yes, obviously humans are animals, but also it's one of the most controversial ideas in the world. For lots and lots of people, it's absolutely not. Humans are humans, animals are animals. There is a big gap in between. And you read the work of Franz de Waal, and it becomes so obvious that, no, we are very close. Yes, we are stronger and more powerful than the chimpanzees and the gorillas, but in our emotional life, in our social lives, we are very, very similar to them. Ideally, the response to COVID should be the establishment of a global healthcare system, a basic healthcare system for the entire human race. I mean, COVID makes it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization. It legitimizes the deployment of mass surveillance, even in democratic countries, and it makes surveillance go under your skin. Just imagine the situation when everybody goes around all the time with some biometric bracelet or other device that constantly monitors what's happening inside your body. So the moment your body temperature starts rising, or there are other signs that something is wrong, the health authority knows that you're sick and you're isolated, and that's it. That's the end of the epidemic. If we had such a system today, there won't be COVID. The same system that can know if I just got COVID or I have the flu can also know if I'm angry or if I'm bored or if I'm happy. I visit a lot, both Europe and North America and China. And one of my main impressions is that many of the things I talk about and people in the West react with apprehension and fear, in China, the reaction to exactly the same topics is excitement. Wow, we can do that. Now, if we reach a point when I can ask Google anything,
then when I want to buy a car, I would just ask Google, hey Google, what car should I buy? And Google will take into account everything it knows, or not only about all the different cars in the world, fuel consumption and safety and regulations, and if they use child labor in a third world country to produce part of the car and so forth. It will also use everything it knows about me, my preferences, my political opinions, my views on climate change, my views on Middle Eastern politics, everything will go into that, and they will just tell you, look, the perfect car for you is X. And if they do a good enough job, I will just buy X. The advertisement will not mean anything. Actually, I will know that my judgment is constantly being manipulated by advertisers. So I don't want to trust my judgment, which is so easily manipulated. I prefer to trust Google. We will never reach perfect. We just need to be better than humans. And if the switch to self-driving vehicles means that the number of people being killed in traffic accidents go down to 500,000 a year, we saved 700,000 lives every year. So it's not going to be perfect, but there is a lot to be said for switching to self-driving vehicles. What's happening now in the world? We are facing such a huge crisis. It's a global crisis. It should be obvious to anybody that there is absolutely no national solution to climate change. You can't solve climate change by having this national policy or that national policy. Only global cooperation can work.